No.
Mamy zaszczyt przywitać R.J.Palacio, która jest autorką bestsellera Wonder, niezwykły chłopak.
So, my first question is, to what group of people did you intend to write this book to? Was it to all people or just kids?
It was primarily kids. I wanted, my older son had just finished 5th grade, so he was about 12 years old when I started Wonder, so it was for his age group.
Więc oryginalnie książka była dla grupy wiekowej pani synka, już
About 12 years old.
około 12 lat.
But having said that, I wanted it to be the kind of book that parents could enjoy, that younger kids could enjoy. I wanted it to be for everybody.
Ale chciała pani też, żeby to była książka, którą rodzice mogą czytać i młodsze dzieci, więc było dla wszystkich.
So, people say that Wonder is a book which was inspired by life. Could you tell us the story about your inspiration to write this book?
Sure. I was working as an art director at a book publisher. That was my job, my day job. And then one day but I always wanted to be a writer.
Pani zawsze chciała być pisarzem, pisarką, mimo że była ilustratorką.
But then one day I was with my 2 sons. Again, my older son was about 11, my younger son was about 3. And we were in front of an ice cream store. And there's a chapter in the book from Jack Will's point of view where he talks about the first time he sees Augie.
Ale kiedy była pani ze swoimi 2 synkami przed lodziarnią, to spotkałem ta sama sytuacja, która spotkała w książce i w filmie mamy Jacka Willa.
We were in front of this ice cream store, and then a little girl came out of the ice cream store, and she had a very, very significant craniofacial difference. She looks the way Augie looks in the book.
Ale w tym momencie, kiedy stali przed lodziarnią, wyszła mała dziewczynka z naprawdę poważną deformacją twarzy i wyglądała podobnie do Augiego.
And my little son, my 3-year-old, when he saw her, he got a little scared. He started to cry. And in my hurry to shield her from seeing my son's reaction to her, I left as quickly as I could because I was trying to spare her feelings.
Ale kiedy wyszła ta dziewczynka i zobaczył ją młodszy synek pani, który miał 3 lata i rozpłakał się na jej widok, bo po prostu była inna. Z reakcji pani synka, której nie chciała pokazać tej dziewczynce, szybko uciekli z lodziarni.
But afterwards, I realized that from her point of view and from her mom's point of view, it might have looked like I was trying to protect my son from seeing her. And it just got me thinking about what it must be like to face a world every day that doesn't know how to face you back.
Ale wtedy miała pani refleksję, że mogła ta reakcja wyglądać nieco inaczej, że to nie przed reakcją tej dziewczynki uciekała pani, tylko chciała osłonić ich reakcję. To zaczęła myśleć o tym, jak to jest żyć takim życiem, gdzie inni ludzie nie wiedzą, jak na ciebie spojrzeć.
And so I started writing Wonder that very night.
I tej nocy zaczęła pani pisać właśnie Cudownego chłopaka.
So, throughout interviews you often say that the book wrote itself, but looking on the other side you had loads of projects to finish, you needed to take care of kids. So how did you manage your time and wrote this book? When did you write this book?
You're absolutely right. It was hard to find the time because I had my full-time job and I'm raising my kids. So I got into this routine of waking up at midnight every night and writing until 3 in the morning because it was the only time that I could find where, I had some peace and quiet and I could actually write. And I did that for about a year and a half.
Więc pani nie miała zbytnio czasu pisać w ogóle tej książki, bo była w trakcie pracy, pełnego etatu i wychowywania małych dzieci. Więc co zrobiła, to było wstawanie o 12 codziennie i pisanie do 3, bo był to jedyny czas, w którym miała ciszę i spokój. I robiła tak przez 1,5 roku.
I don't recommend it for other people.
I nie poleca tego nikomu.
So, connecting to the story about the ice cream shop, many of us wonder if wonder is partly made-up story or fully taken situation from life. So, did you know any boy or a girl that lived as like Ogi throughout their lives?
You know, the book was inspired by that one encounter, and the rest was purely fiction. I mean, when you're writing, there are always little bits and pieces based on real things that happen. So a lot of the sub-stories are from my life or from my kids or something that happened. But the overall story of Augie is purely fiction. I didn't know anyone with facial syndrome. I knew people who have some kind of difference that sets them apart. And and I had dealt with bullying and things like that. But overall, the story of Augie, when it comes to having a facial difference, was completely fiction.
Więc historia o Ogi jest fikcyjna. Oczywiście była zainspirowana tą jedną sytuacją przed lodziarni, ale reszta jest wymyślona. Znaczy są, wiadomo, zawsze jak się pisze książki, to się wplata elementy z życia, na przykład z sytuacji pani dzieci i ogólnie sytuacji, które przeżyła, ale historia o Ogi jest wymyślona i nie znała pani żadnej osoby, która miała jakąś deformację twarzy.
So, are there any behaviors and experiences that you gave to your characters from yourself?
Yeah, there are a lot. I think even though obviously Augie is dealing with issues that are beyond anything I could personally ever know myself, because I don't have a facial difference.
Więc
Do say it again. Even though Augie has issues that I don't directly know, I've never experienced myself, because I don't have a facial difference.
Więc nie jest pani się w stanie osobiście utożsamiać z Augiem, bo nie ma żadnej deformacji twarzy.
I think we all know what it's like, to some degree or other, at some point in our lives, what it's like to feel a little bit like maybe we're outside a group.
Ale wydaje pani się, że każdy, bez względu na to, jak wygląda, jest zawsze w życiu zawsze jest taka sytuacja, gdzie czuje się, jakby był poza grupą, jak był obcy.
Whether it's because we're the new person in school,
czy na przykład jesteśmy nową osobą w szkole,
or because friends we used to be friends with suddenly don't want to be friends with us anymore.
Albo na przykład, kiedy przyjaciele, z którymi przyjaźniliśmy się przez długo, już nie mają ochoty się z nami przyjaźnić.
Or for whatever reasons, something that might differentiate you, or something that makes you feel different from other people.
Albo z jakiego innego powodu, który powoduje, że czujemy się, jakbyśmy byli inni od innych.
So I think there's a part of Augie that everyone can relate to, and is certainly that's the part that I used from my own experience. Those moments of feeling like an outsider in my life, that's what I used to help me write Augie.
I właśnie to w Augiem jest takie, że każdy się może utożsamiać z nim, bo każdy przeżył takie momenty.
So, is there any character in your book that you identify yourself the most with?
Well, it's funny because when I wrote the book, I gave it to some friends to read, and one of them was a really old friend of mine. She's known me since I was 5 years old. And she said, "You realize Via was you when you were 15 years old." And I'm like, "Really? I didn't realize that." And it turned, I reread it and it was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess Via's kind of like I was when I was 15.
Więc kiedy napisała pani książkę, dała ją paru swoim przyjaciołom, dała też jej jednej przyjaciółce, którą znała od dawna. I po przeczytaniu tej książki ta przyjaciółka powiedziała, ale przecież pani jest jak Wije, jak miała 15 lat. I potem na początku pani tak nie myślała, ale jak przeczytałem znowu, to zauważyła właśnie, że jednak faktycznie jest bardzo jak Wija.
But I didn't realize it.
Ale wcześniej w ogóle się nie zorientowała.
The character I think who I would have been most like when I was 10 or 11 years old is
Okay.
no, believe it or not, it's Charlotte. Charlotte is a minor character. I wish I could say I would have been Summer, because I think Summer is so cool. Yeah, she is. But Charlotte is a character who, in a lot of ways, I think she's very easy to identify with.
Więc jednak osobą, którą najbardziej się identyfikuje, jak miała 10 lat, to była Charlotte. Jeśli nie pamiętacie, to jest ta, która ciągle mówiła o Broadwayu i o reklamach, w których grała. I uważa, że jednak jest to osoba, z którą wiele osób może się identyfikować.
Because even though Summer is so, I think she's so wonderful, I think it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage to be like Summer.
I wolała pani bardziej się identyfikować z Summer, która była tą dziewczynką, która usiadła obok Ogiego na obiedzie, ale uważa, że bycie jak Summer wymaga jednak wielkiej odwagi, żeby coś takiego zrobić.
So Charlotte is somebody who is always nice. She always says, "Hi, Augie," from a distance.
Ale Charlotte jest też osobą, która jest miła, ale po prostu z dystansu zawsze się wita z Augiem, macha mu.
But she never goes really out of her way to be friends with him, like Summer does.
Ale nigdy tak naprawdę nie robi czegoś więcej od siebie, żeby przyjaźnić się z Augiem.
So in a way I can relate to Charlotte, because at that age I think I would have been more like Charlotte, hoping to grow up to be Summer someday.
Ale jednak była pani bardziej jak Charlotte i chciała kiedyś, któregoś dnia być właśnie jak Summer.
When I read the book and watched the film, I realized that there were also some pieces, for example, that you have been an illustrator and the mother of Augie also, yeah, and mother of Jackwell also had this situation that she said, yeah, we've seen this boy, that's the boy, yeah. So the main character has the Treacher's Collins syndrome, which is a genetic illness which deforms the face of a person, but which doesn't affect the brain at all. So it allows the person, in this case Augie, to think the same way as other people. So Augie knows that he is different, and because of this he feels like an alien in the new school. And he puts an astronaut helmet on. What does the helmet symbolize?
Well, you know, Augie loves outer space, he loves science, he dreams of, I think one of the things that really appeals to him, when, you know, he loves Star Wars, for instance, he loves fantasy, he loves that kind of thing. And I think if you think about Star Wars, you realize that Star Wars is populated by all these alien creatures that look different from human beings. So for Augie, that would be a dream landscape to live in. A dream world where people can look there's no one way to look that's normal, quote unquote. There's, you know, you could look like anything. You could be an alien. You could look, you know, you could have fur all over your body like Chewbacca. So I think for Augie, the astronaut helmet, it's both a way of kind of wearing a mask when he's out in public, but it's also a way of seeing the world from a safe point.
Wszyscy wiemy, że Augie uwielbia nauki ścisłe, fizykę, chemię, ale kocha też Star Wars i z tego właśnie względu, że każdy tam wygląda inaczej. Wszyscy mogą być pokryci futrem, mogą mieć 10 oczu i nikt nie wygląda, jakby był jakiś odmienny. Więc kiedy Augie zakłada hełm kosmonauty, to nie tylko jest to maska, którą zakłada, jak wychodzi na ulicę, ale jest też jest to bezpieczne miejsce, z którego widzi świat.
I have to tell you all, I am so amazed by these two. I can't even believe it. You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Pani nas właśnie bardzo ładnie pochwaliła.
Can you read the fragment now?
Sure.
You were going to refer.
Dzień dobry. Wpadliśmy w ostatniej chwili na pomysł, żeby przeczytać fragment książki, to jest spotkanie także z książką. Tylko mam pytanie, kto z Was widział film? Dobrze. Cieszy mnie to. A kto czytał książkę? Dobrze. Słuchajcie, bo jest Pani dyrektor wydawnictwa, która wydaje tę książkę. Przywitajcie wszystkie Panie z wydawnictwa Alpatrów. Bardzo dziękuję za pomoc w organizacji. A kto mnie nie zna, to ja jestem Artur Wolski i przyjaźnię się z Waszą szkołą, nauczycielami, Panią dyrektor. I ponieważ Agata do mnie zadzwoniłyście do mnie, Panie, że jest raka będzie w Polsce, więc od razu zapaliłem się. Jest tylko jedno spotkanie w Polsce właściwie tutaj i jedno jest w kinie, więc cieszę się, że mogę tutaj być. To jest rzecz taka niespodziewana i przepraszam prowadzącą, ale gratuluję też prowadzenie. Wiem, co to znaczy. Mam nadzieję, że robicie to za grube pieniądze. Wpadliśmy w ostatniej chwili na pomysł, żeby przeczytać fragment, taki fragment, którego nie ma w filmie, a który bardzo mnie rozbawia. I wpadliśmy na pomysł kolejny, ja lubię zadania, że ja przeczytam fragment po polsku, a potem Rafał przeczyta po angielsku. Zobaczymy, co z tego wyjdzie, dobrze? To ja zacznę. Jak przyszedłem na świat? Lubię, gdy mama opowiada te historie, bo strasznie mnie śmieszy. Nie tak jak śmieszną dowcipy, ale słuchając mamy po prostu boki zrywamy zwiją. No więc, gdy byłem jeszcze w brzuchu mamy, nikomu nie przyszło do głowy, że po wyjściu stamtąd będę wyglądał tak jak teraz. 4 lata wcześniej urodziła się Wija i to była bułka z masłem. Słowa mamy. Wobec tego nikt nie widział powodu, żeby przeprowadzać specjalnie badania. Ze 2 miesiące przed moim urodzeniem lekarze stwierdzili, że coś jest nie w porządku z moją twarzą, ale ich zdaniem nie wyglądało to groźnie. Powiedzieli rodzicom, że mam rozszczep podniebienia i jakieś tam jeszcze drobne anomalie. Jak się wyrazili. Tej nocy, gdy się urodziłem, na sali porodowej pracowały 2 pielęgniarki. Jedna była sympatyczna i miła. Druga, jak twierdzi mama, ani trochę. Miała bardzo mięśnione ręce i teraz robi się śmiesznie. Ciągle puszczała bąki. Na przykład podawała mamie pokruszony lód i pryk. Mierzyła jej ciśnienie i pryk. Nie uwierzycie, mówiła mama, ta kobieta ani razu nie powiedziała przepraszam. Ponieważ opiekujący się mamą lekarz akurat miał wolny dzień, musiała się zdać na jakiegoś poddenerwowanego młodego doktorka, któremu dała z tatą przezwisko drogi. Zdaje się dlatego, że przypomniał im się bohater starego serialu telewizyjnego. Oczywiście nie zwracali się tak do niego bezpośrednio. Mama mówi, że choć jej sąsiadki na sali trochę kwękały, tato rozśmieszał ją przez całą noc.
When I came out of mom's stomach, that's the right part, right? When I came out of mom's stomach, she said the whole room got very quiet. Mom didn't even get a chance to look at me because the nice nurse immediately rushed me out of the room. Dad was in such a hurry to follow her that he dropped the video camera, which broke into a million pieces. And then Mom got very upset and tried to get out of bed to see where they were going, but the farting nurse put her very big arms on Mom to keep her down in the bed. They were practically fighting because Mom was hysterical and the farting nurse was yelling at her to stay calm, and then they both started screaming for the doctor. But guess what? He had fainted right on the floor. So when the farting nurse saw that he had fainted, she started pushing him with her foot to get him to wake up. yelling at him the whole time, "What kind of doctor are you? What kind of doctor are you? Get up, get up." And then all of a sudden, she let out the biggest, loudest, smelliest fart in the history of farts. Mom thinks it was actually the fart that finally woke the doctor up. Anyway, when Mom tells the story, she acts out all the parts, including the farting noises, and it is so funny. Mom says that the farting nurse turned out to be a very nice woman. She stayed with Mom the whole time, didn't leave her side, even after Dad came back and the doctors told them how sick I was. Mom remembers exactly what the nurse whispered in her ear when the doctor told her I probably would not live through the night. "Everyone born of God overcometh the world," she said. And the next day, after I had lived through the night, it was that same nurse who held Mom's hand when they brought her to meet me for the first time. Mom says by then they had told her all about me. She had been preparing herself for the seeing of me. But she says that when she looked down into my tiny, mushed up face for the first time, all she could see was how pretty my eyes were. Mom is beautiful, by the way, and Dad is handsome. Via is pretty, in case you were wondering.
O klas.
So there was like this paradox that I realized when he put on the helmet. He thought that other people will not see him and will not look at him, but as a matter of fact, he made himself even more visible. Was this something that you meant to put in, or was it just something that came out throughout the book?
That's a great insight. I think he was trading, having people look at him for his differences that were very unique and sometimes a little startling to other people, as opposed to wearing a helmet that might have drawn attention, but people might have just thought, well, you know, it's a boy, a typical boy just wearing an astronaut helmet, not knowing what was underneath.
Więc wydaje się pani, że jak Ogi zakłada ten hełm, to ludzie patrzyli się na niego, ale jednak myśleli, że jest to normalny chłopiec, który po prostu nosi hełm kosmonauty, a nie jakiś zdeformowany chłopiec pod spodem.
So the original title of your book is Wonder. Translated to Polish, it's Wonderful Boy. So how can we interpret it?
Well, Wonder, the title of the book in the United States, was actually taken from a song by a singer named Natalie Merchant. Do you guys know Natalie Merchant? Anybody? She's great. If you have iTunes, download her. She wrote a song called Wonder, and it's a song that I must have listened to hundreds of times when my older son was a baby, because that's when it came out. The night that I saw the little girl at the ice cream store, that night I had turned on the radio, remember, and I was obsessing about it a lot. I turned on the radio, and the first song to come on was Wonder by Natalie Merchant. Now, you can translate.
Tytuł Wonder, u nas Cudowny chłopak, jest zainspirowany piosenką z czasów, kiedy urodził się pani starszy synek. I nocy, w której właśnie pisała tę książkę, to jak włączyła radio, to była pierwsza piosenka, która zaczęła lecieć.
The song is all about someone who is born with a difference that's so grand that doctors come from distant cities just to see this baby.
Ta piosenka jest o dziecku, które się rodzi, wygląda tak inaczej, tak bardzo różnie od innych, że przyjeżdżają lekarze z całego świata.
And in English, and I'm not sure it translates into Polish, but the word wonder has sort of a dual meaning. You can use it the way it's used. Someone can be a wonder, meaning someone can be extraordinary.
Słowo wonder po angielsku, nie wiem pani, czy tak też jest po polsku, ale jest to słowo, które może mieć różne znaczenia. Ktoś może na przykład być cudem.
But it's also a verb, so you can say, I wonder what it would be like to be that person.
ale po polsku nie ma drugiego znaczenia, czyli I wonder, wydaje mi się, myślę nad tym, czemu na przykład ktoś jest, nie ma takiego u nas, ale wonder to właśnie to znaczy też.
So that's why I named the book Wonder.
Dlatego się nazywa Wonder, przez te dwa znaczenia.
Taking it to the different meanings of the word wonder, what in your opinion is the wonder in this book? Is it Augie or the whole situation that he is in?
I have to tell you, I've been interviewed a lot. These are the best questions I've ever been asked. So I think a lot of people assume that Augie is a wonder because of the way he looks. But that's not why I think Augie is a wonder.
Po pierwsze to pani była na wielu wywiadach i jest to najlepsze do tej pory. A po drugie to wiele osób uważa, że Augie jest cudem przez to, że tak wygląda, ale nie z tego względu pani uważa Augiego za cud.
I think he's a wonder because despite having been met with so much unkindness in his life, he still manages to be kind to so many people around him.
Jednak pani zdaniem Augie jest cudem, dlatego że mimo tych wszystkich przykrości, które spotkały go w życiu, dalej jest w stanie okazywać uczucie i być miły dla ludzi.
Why do you think Augie's best friend said that if he would look like Augie, he would kill himself?
Because he made a mistake.
Pani się wydaje, że Jack Will powiedział, że jakby wyglądał jak Augie, to by się zabił tylko dlatego, że popełnił błąd.
I think Jack it was a bad moment for him. He was with some friends. He was trying to fit in. He said something to be funny. I don't think he ever thought that Augie would hear him. And he said this. It was a callous, mean thing to say. And I think, of course, he came to regret it.
Jack był po prostu w sytuacji, w której chciał, żeby jego koledzy zaśmiali się z tego, co mówi, dlatego zażartował podobnie do nich, ale potem jednak zrozumiał swój błąd i żałował tego, co zrobił.
Looking at this situation, do you think that Jack Will's friends were actually real friends that he needed to fit in with such jokes? Or do you think they were just there to laugh at Augie?
Yeah, I think that this is toward the beginning of the year, and I think back then Augie was still a subject that they still hadn't gotten to know Augie, so he was still the subject of a lot of scorn, and the kids were used to making fun of him. I think Jack, by becoming Augie's friend, put himself on the outside socially a little bit. And I think at that moment he was just trying to fit in again. You know, he was just trying to be one of the guys.
Wydaje się pani, że Jack wtedy tak się zachował, dlatego że był to jeszcze moment na początku roku, kiedy jeszcze nikt nie znał Augiego. I Augie po prostu był tematem śmiechów i chichów i żartowania z niego, jak wygląda. I Jack po prostu chciał być jak reszta dzieci.
So, what do you think are the most important and common behaviors of people that you show in this book?
I tried to show. Have you ever read The Lord of the Flies? Yeah, it's really good. It's a heavy book. I'm not recommending it necessarily, but I was inspired a lot by that book. It's the idea that we all struggle with sort of aspects of trying to be the best we can be, right? And socially, as friends, with strangers, on every level. We want and we hope that we're going to be the best people we can possibly be.
Inspirowała pani też książka Władca Much, bo podobnie jak w tej, właśnie ludzie zmagają się z tym, żeby być najlepszą wersją siebie, żeby nad sobą pracować.
But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we take the easy route and we go for the easy laugh. We make fun of someone else behind their back. We might be friends with people that we know really are not worthy of our friendship.
Jednak nie jest to zawsze łatwe i czasami chodzimy na skróty, czasami śmiejemy się z innych, bo jest to po prostu łatwiejsza rzecz w sytuacji.
So in Wonder, I try to show that understanding that it's not always easy to do the right thing. It's not always easy to be that person that sits down with a new kid or extends a hand in friendship.
Dlatego właśnie chciała Pani w Cudownym chłopaku pokazać, że nie jest to zawsze łatwe podstawić się w takiej sytuacji i zawsze być tą osobą, która siada obok tej innej, wyśmiewanej osoby.
But those acts of kindness are remembered, and those acts of kindness really do transcend time. It's the things that you get remembered for.
Ale te właśnie czyny, takie jak siadanie obok tej innej osoby, to są właśnie rzeczy, które się pamięta.
I got an email from a woman after Wonder came out. She was 92 years old. She had just read the book and she wrote me an email.
Po publikacji Cudownego chłopaka dostała Pani maila od 92-letniej pani, która właśnie przeczytała książkę.
And she told me how when she read Wonder, it reminded her of something that had happened to her when she was 13 years old.
I opowiedziała jej, że książka przypomniała jej coś, co zdarzyło się, jak miała 13 lat.
She had just lost her father. Her father had just died, and her mother was sick, so she had been sent to live with a friend.
Straciła właśnie wtedy ojca, a jej mama była chora, więc poszła mieszkać z przyjaciółką.
And she was going to the friend's school for the first time. She didn't know anybody.
I po raz pierwszy poszła do szkoły, do której chodziła ta przyjaciółka i nie znała nikogo.
And then one day, the friend was sick, so she had to go to school by herself, this new school.
I pewnego dnia, kiedy ta przyjaciółka była chora, musiała iść sama do tej szkoły.
She sat down at lunchtime at the same table she would usually sit down at with a friend.
Usiadła przy tym stole, w którym normalnie siadała z przyjaciółką.
But the girls that were sitting at the table got up, took their trays and left, kind of laughing.
Ale jak usiadła, reszta dziewczynek, które tam siedziały, wstały wszystkie, prawie się śmiejąc i odeszły.
And she remembers everyone in the lunchroom laughing.
I pamiętała, jak każdy na stołówce się śmieje.
And she said she went on to have a wonderful life. She got married, has grandchildren, a beautiful life, but she still remembers this one act of unkindness by these thoughtless girls.
Po tej sytuacji miała świetne życie, wyszła za mąż. I jednak mimo to pamięta tę sytuację.
Because it was a very vulnerable time in her life. She needed friendship, and what she got was this moment of unkindness.
Była bezbronna w tej sytuacji, potrzebowała przyjaciół, a tak ją potraktowano.
So when I speak to kids, I tell them the story because I ask, think about that. This woman remembered this for 80 years. This is 80 years later. And when you think about it that way, you have to wonder, do you want to be the kind of kid that's remembered for doing something mean? Or do you want to be the kind of kid that's remembered for doing something kind?
I dlatego opowiada Pani tę historię, bo ta Pani 92-letnia pamiętała tą historię, mimo że stało się to 80 lat temu. I pyta się tych dzieci, czy właśnie chcą być pamiętane dlatego, że były złośliwe i niemiłe, czy dlatego, że były miłe i okazały sympatię.
And that's what Wonder's about.
I o tym właśnie jest Cudowny chłopak.
It seems that the main theme of the book is choose kind. But what other universal messages are you trying to tell people when they read the book?
Really, it's Mr. Tushman's speech at the end sums up what I was trying to impart.
Przemówienie pana Tushmana, dyrektora szkoły, na końcu roku to jest właśnie to, co chce Pani przekazać książką oraz filmem wszystkim czytelnikom i oglądaczom.
That it's those acts of kindness that really are what we should aspire to live our lives doing.
Że właśnie te dobre uczynki to jest to, co powinniśmy próbować osiągnąć w naszym życiu.
And that includes being a good friend, being a good neighbor, being a good stranger.
Do tego zaliczyłam się bycie dobrym przyjacielem, dobrym sąsiadem, ale nawet dobrą po prostu osobą nieznaną, nieznajomą, dobrym znajomym.
And sticking up for one another.
I wstawianie się za innymi.
So Choose Kind became a movement. So could you tell us something about it?
Well, so Wonder ultimately is about kindness, and very early on after the book was published, a lot of teachers started teaching Wonder in classes, and that inspired this movement. At least in the United States, it's the Choose Kind movement. We have a website. We have a lot of classroom initiatives, different classroom kits, where, for instance, teachers keep jars on their desks, and every time a child does an act of kindness, a marble goes into the jar. When the jar is full, they get a prize.
I to właśnie dobre uczynki, to Choose Kind zainspirowało na przykład w szkołach. Nauczyciele zaczęli mówić o pani książce i zrobili nawet takie słoiki z szklanymi kuleczkami, gdzie jak te dzieci robiły coś dobrego, to wrzucali szklaną kuleczkę i potem dostawały, kiedy słoik był pełny, dostawały jakąś nagrodę.
The book became really popular very quickly, and as it's your first book and only for now, what do you think made it so popular?
I think one of the things was that it's funny, even though it's about a kid with a facial difference, and it might seem like it's kind of a downer. It's actually kind of an easy read. It's funny. It moves quickly, and I think a lot of people can identify with the characters because it's told from multiple points of view. So even if you can't really identify with Augie, there's probably someone else that you can relate to.
Wydaje się pani, że książka odniosła taki sukces tak szybko, dlatego że po pierwsze, bo jest śmieszna, mimo że jest o takim poważnym temacie jak deformacja twarzy. Inną przyczyną jest też to, że wszyscy możemy się utożsamiać z kimś w książce, nawet jeśli nie jesteśmy w stanie się utożsamić z Augiem, to jest dużo innych postaci, którymi możemy się utożsamiać.
So it's got its film adaptation really quickly. So we saw that the film had much in common with the book. Are you happy with the outcome of it?
You know, I really am. I wasn't sure I would be, because it's really kind of scary when you give over your book to be, turned into a movie. You have really no control, and you can only hope that they do a good job. But I was really, so did you guys like it?
Yes.
They really did. They managed to keep almost all the points of view. They made a great movie, so I'm really proud of it.
Jest pani bardzo zadowolona adaptacją filmową, bo jest jednak bardzo podobna do książki i właśnie prawie wszystko to, co pani chciała, żeby było w filmie.
And the director is of Polish ancestry, so Steven Chbosky.
I taka ciekawostka, że reżyser ma korzenie polskie.
There was a happy ending at the end, the speech of the headmaster, and why did you put it there? Do you think that it's a common ending that would happen in a true life?
I think, as a writer, you get to end the book wherever you want. And I chose to end the book on a happy day in Augie's life. That's not the same as necessarily having a happy ending. It just means that that's where I chose to finish the book. We can assume that in the 6th grade, Augie will have the same set of challenges. He's going to be facing the same challenges his whole life. And there will be good days, and there will be really bad days. I think the point of the book is that he has what he needs inside of him to rise to any occasion and meet any challenge.
Jako pisarka pani była w stanie wybrać, kiedy kończy książkę i wybrała dlatego właśnie szczęśliwy dzień dla Augiego i wie, że to nie jest zakończenie jego życia, i że dalej będzie miał dobre dni i złe dni. I w 6. klasie pewnie znowu będzie miał te same trudności, które napotka, ale wolała właśnie zakończyć książkę na momencie, kiedy Ogi jest w stanie sobie z nimi poradzić.
The last question that I'm going to ask you is, are you planning to continue writing? Can we expect a continuation of Wonder?
Well, that's I don't know. I used to say no, that I'm done with Wonder. And then but I'm slowly changing my mind. I think I might someday come back to Augie specifically. The next book I'm doing, which is going to be published in the United States in October, is a graphic novel that I wrote and illustrated. That's called White Bird. And it's called a wonder story because it ties into wonder a little bit.
Stopniowo zmienia takie zdanie na temat, czy będzie kontynuować pisanie, bo wcześniej mówiła, że nie będzie, ale teraz coraz więcej ją skłania, żeby właśnie kontynuowała.
In October.
I w październiku wychodzi komiks, który będzie całkiem podobny, będzie też miał taki wątek cudu i właśnie wychodzi w październiku.
It's actually the story of Julian, his grandmother, when she was a young girl and in World War II.
I będzie to historia o babci Juliana, kiedy była mała. I to było podczas wojny.
I'll leave it there.
Now I just reminded myself of one more question. Did you illustrate the Wonder?
The cover? No, it would have made sense for me to do it because that was my job. But no, I didn't do it. I didn't want to. I wanted my experience as an author to be purely as an author, not as a project designer.
Więc ilustracja na okładce książki nie jest wykonana przez panią, bo chciała być tylko autorką, pisarką tej książki, a nie ilustratorką.
Okay, so that's all our questions. Do you have any more questions for the author of Wonder?
Because then you said that when you were 13 and your friend said that it's about you. Did you have a brother with information face?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I think what she meant was just that her personality was a lot like mine when I was little, younger. And her interest and the way she expressed herself was what she reminded her of me at 15. And then when I reread it, I thought, oh yeah, that's why she's so familiar.
Let's say quite a personal question, but how would you deal with all those problems that Augie had?
I would hope that I would have the kind of resilience that Augie has in facing those challenges. I can't say I would have at that age. I think having spoken to a lot of, one of the really nice things about the reception I've gotten from Wonder has been from the craniofacial community. You know, there are lots of real-life Augies out there who were born with Treacher Collins or other facial anomalies. And they all talk about the fact that, you know, this is who they are. You know, they were born with this. They're used to the way they look. And they hope that the rest of the world gets used to them. But almost all of them, the one thing I've noticed that they all have in common is a sense of humor. They're able to laugh at the situation sometimes. They're able to, you know, they think they're normal. And it's really just for everybody else to get used to them. So in terms of how I would like to think that I would deal with it, I think that if I were born with those, with a facial difference, that I would hope that I would develop the skills that Augie has to learn how to deal with them.
When you wrote about Julian and how mean he was, did it get inspired by, for example, a group of girls or guys hanging out near that ice cream place that were being mean to the little girl?
A little bit, yeah. I think, unfortunately, I think we all know a Julian or two in our lives. So, you know, it's having said that, I feel compassion for Julian because I knew that what was motivating a lot of Julian's meanness and his unkindness was the fact that he was afraid of Augie. You know, he was 10 years old, and I think Augie made him uncomfortable. And sometimes, young people especially, but older people too, sometimes when we're uncomfortable or when we're afraid, we turn that into anger or some other things. And I think that that's what Julian did. I think he channeled his fear of Augie into hostility and anger. And unfortunately, he wasn't getting the help he could have used from his parents, who didn't understand that this was happening. So he really was kind of lost in a lot of ways. Because I think if he had bothered to get to know Augie, he would have realized that they have a lot in common, you know, but that was his big issue. So in terms of, you know, I think even bullies have a story to tell, and it's important to try to understand. Sometimes something is motivating them.
Do you think Julian's parents fueled Julian's desire to bully other people?
I think they enabled him by not recognizing that they needed to intervene and show him a better way to be. I think they were so blind to their son that they didn't realize that they needed to do more to understand that he wasn't the victim in the story. I think they perceived him as being the victim somehow. So I think that they were just too blinded by love for him to understand that he needed a little bit more attention. He could have used a good therapist.
There was a person in the story, Jackwell. Was the Jackwell inspired by a friend of the girl that was in the ice cream shop, or no?
I never knew the girl in the ice cream shop other than seeing her that day. Jack Will was actually, all of the characters are kind of inspired by people in my life. For instance, Augie himself was based a little bit on a mashup of my older son and one of his friends at the time, a boy named Ben, who had long hair and used to talk from underneath his hair, and he used to mumble a lot. So whenever I was thinking of how Augie would speak, I would think of Ben. Jack Will was inspired by two friends of my son's who would come over to our house. They were two brothers. One was named Jack, and the other was named Will. So when their mother would pick them up from the play date, she would say, "Hey, Jack, Will, time to go." And that kind of stuck in my mind. Summer was based on a real little girl named Summer, who I knew, who was the nicest little girl honestly that I'd ever known. And all the characters were based on kind of like on people I know or knew when I was little. They're all kind of mashups of people I know.
So, who was your inspiration for the behavior of Augie?
For the behavior of
Augie.
Augie? Augie was kind of based on my son and his friend Ben, pretty much. Augie in terms of his interests, Augie in terms of his sensitivity and his sense of humor, definitely on my son and his friend.
Did you give a copy of the book to the girl from the ice cream shop?
I never saw her again. I saw her that day, and I went back later on to see if the ice cream shop owner knew who she was, or we have no idea who she was. She was just passing through town. She was about 6 years old, and she was with her mother and a friend. Maybe the friend was from the neighborhood. I have no idea. I never saw her again.
When do you write this book, and what do you think about it?
I wrote the book in 2008, thereabouts, 2008, 2009. You know, it takes a couple of years to write the book, then it takes a couple of years to have the book edited and published, and I don't remember what year in Poland it was published, probably 2013, 14.
How did you get the Minecraft part in the movie?
That's so funny you should say that. That was something that the director and the screenwriter came up with. That was not my idea, because I wanted them to use Fortnite. But Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft is more PG. So we use Minecraft.
If you would have possibility to show this girl that you, if you would have the possibility, like anytime, to show this girl once again, would you give it?
I would definitely. I would give it. I would thank it. I would thank her for having inspired this book. I would apologize for for the way I responded in that given situation. I wish, obviously afterwards, I wish that I had simply started up a conversation with her, shown my son by my example that there was nothing to be afraid of. But these things, even being a parent, it's funny. It doesn't come with the instruction manuals. Sometimes you make mistakes as a parent.
If you would do a sequel, how old would the characters be?
I was thinking about that. If I did a sequel, I would probably do it when Augie was graduating from middle school. So he would be 14, 15.
Did a different book inspire you to make The Plague?
Did the different book inspire me?
Different book inspire you?
Inspire me to write another book?
No.
Sorry.
The Plague.
The play?
I forgot how to say it.
Sorry, I'm not. I didn't quite understand the question. Say it one more time.
Did any other book inspire you to talk about the plague?
What play?
In the movie specifically.
Oh, sorry. Do you know what it means? Oh. Oh, the plague. Oh, sorry. Yes, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Yeah, the cheese touch. Yeah.
And I have a question about Julian. He was a little bit mean to Augie because he was throwing him stuff which was very mean. Like he was a boy with stuff very wrong. And did he want to do it, or he just did it just to make him angry or sad?
I don't think he was even thinking of Augie when he was doing that stuff. I think Julian was just trying to impress his friends. I think he was just trying to be cool. I think he was just trying to, he was doing something that hurt someone else's feelings, but I don't think his main ambition was to hurt someone else's feelings. I think his main ambition was to make his friends laugh and they think it was funny.
So, did you see Augie in real life?
No, there's no real Augie. Yeah. Oh, the actor, the boy that plays Augie? Oh, yes, I did. And what's really funny, so I went to the movie set every day, and, Jacob Tremblay, the little boy who plays Augie, before anyone got to the set at 8 in the morning, Jacob would report to the set at 6 in the morning, and it took him about an hour and a half to 2 hours every day to put on that makeup. He would sit in the makeup chair, and they would do his makeup, so that by the time everyone else showed up on the movie set, we saw him in makeup. He looked like Augie. And I did not, for the whole time I was on the movie, I never saw him without his makeup until the last day that I was on the set. He had an early day off, and they had taken off his makeup. And it was like meeting him for the first time. It was so funny, because he's such a great kid. All the kids in the movie were so amazing. I love them.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Did anything inspire you to put video games in the book or movie? Sorry.
All of the references in the movie, in the book and the movie, except for Minecraft, which they chose instead of Fortnite, all of them were inspired by the things that my kids are into. I have 2 sons. Now my older son is 22, but my younger son is 15, and he does what other 15-year-olds do, and they So Star Wars, huge thing. They were really into Star Wars. I was really into Star Wars. And all the stuff in the book that's referenced are books that they liked or books that I liked.
Was there any funny addition of the film editors? Like something that didn't appear in the book, which appeared in the film?
They interpreted some scenes differently than they are in the book, for reasons that are sort of very behind the scenes. For instance, in the book, that whole the whole scene that happens in the nature reserve, you know, when they go camping, that all happens at night. You know, when they watch the movie at night, and everything that happens in darkness, you know. But they couldn't do that when they were filming. You know why? Because no, not even that. It's because there are very strict laws about child actors and about how many hours a day that they can work. And so working at night was a whole other. It was just very hard to orchestrate working with child actors at night. So they ended up shooting that scene in the daytime. So there were things like that that they changed. They consolidated some of the teachers into just one teacher. You know, it's a different medium. So I understood that they needed to make some choices and cut some things out of the book. But by and large, I thought they kept as much as they could in the book.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Amazing job. So congratulations. You guys are really amazing. And thank you so much for hosting. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Zdobyła.